A funeral procession today in Jerusalem for an iconic veteran journalist killed in the West Bank turned violent, with Israeli forces swinging batons at mourners who were carrying her coffin. You can see it making its way into the church here. This comes just days after Al Jazeera journalist Shireen Abu Akleh was shot dead while reporting on a military raid in the West Bank. NBC News foreign correspondent Raf Sanchez is in Jerusalem. Raf, these images are very disturbing this morning. What more can you tell us?
Willie, I have covered a lot of funerals here in the Middle East. I have never seen anything like this. This scene took place outside the hospital as Shireen Abu Akleh's body was being moved to the church where her funeral was going to take place. You can see in the video Israeli police using nightsticks and shoving mourners as they are trying, a large group, as they are trying to carry the coffin out of the hospital. At one point, Willie, it literally looks like the coffin is about to fall to the ground. It is a heart-stopping moments. We can also see Israeli police tearing Palestinian flags off of the hearse as it makes its way out of the hospital. Now, Israeli police are saying in a statement that they moved in because these mourners were, one, chanting nationalist Palestinian chants, and two, throwing stones. Now, our team has looked very carefully at this video. You can see some stone throwing from the edge of the crowd, but not from the people who are actually holding the coffin, who you can see being confronted by those Israeli police. Now, mercifully, the funeral and the burial went ahead peacefully. Shireen Abu Akleh was a Christian, so her funeral took place in the Christian quarter of Jerusalem, a few hundred yards up there. She was buried in a Christian ceremony. And Willie, I got to tell you, this was more than a funeral for the Palestinian people. This was a national moment. This was a legendary journalist who told the story of the Palestinian people for decades. And in her death, she has become a Palestinian icon. Now, there are still a lot of questions about her death. Al Jazeera says she was killed by Israeli forces in Jenin in the northern occupied West Bank. They're citing eyewitness accounts from her crew. The Israeli military say they are still investigating. They released findings from a very preliminary investigation this morning. Willie, they say there are two scenarios that are possible. One is that Palestinian gunmen up in Jenin, firing hundreds of rounds indiscriminately, may have hit Shireen Abu Akleh and her producer. But they are also acknowledging for the first time it is possible that one of their soldiers may have fired the fatal shot. And they're actually giving a pretty detailed outline of what may have happened. They're saying an Israeli soldier trying to engage one of those gunmen may have fired and may have hit Shireen Abu Akleh as she was behind him. Now, the Israelis are calling on the Palestinians to take part in a joint investigation. The Palestinians are rejecting that. They are saying they simply do not trust the Israeli military to thoroughly investigate itself. But, Willie, this has been a very violent couple of days in the occupied West Bank, and tragically, this has been a violent day as Shireen Abu Akleh was being laid to rest in her native Jerusalem. Willie?
And as you say, that concession today from Israel is a bit of a step back from initially they're saying that it was Palestinians who killed her, and now they say it could have been our forces. Raf Sanchez reporting from a chaotic scene in Jerusalem. Raf, so much. We'll be back to you shortly if you get more details.